Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of Life Mod with Dr.Orldano Gonzalez. We're here in our New York studio with, of course, the great Dr.Orldano Gonzalez and one of the people that have helped build the Life Mod brand, the person who does a lot of our podcast. He handles all the technical aspects of the show and is also, by the way, a member of Life Mod. And his name is Andrew Zarian.
Hi, Chaunce.
Hello.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey.
Welcome, guys, to the show. It's been a little bit since we've been on the air.
It has.
Of course. So much to talk about as we're into the sweltering summer months, right? August. It's brutal outside.
Oh, my God.
But
The dog. What is it? The dog. What do they call it?
Dog days of
summer.
summer.
Dog days of summer.
We're there now.
But two things we should talk about today with both of you guys. And this is an unusual show because normally it's Dr. Gonzalez
Right.
who's doing all the talking.
This is weird. I don't
This
like it.
this is probably making you feel very uncomfortable. But the reason why we're doing it this way is because actually Dr. Gonzalez should be the one interviewed for this broadcast because he's currently training for the New York Marathon.
Right.
And actually marathon training is such a big part of the Life Mod lifestyle because it's not just about losing weight. It's about how you live your life. And of course, when you think of marathon runners, you just think right away, health, fitness. They're the people that are in the most shape. But I think you can dispel some of that. And you've said it in the past that's not always true. That marathon runners are not always in the best shape.
They're not.
You want to elaborate on
Yeah,
that?
sure. So for those of you, we have a huge following of the New York road runners, and I know that we do a lot of blogging for some of the runners blogs and Runners World. One of the things that I always have noticed and have always said is that runners, is not part of our human design. And so when you get into and I'm going to give you a snippet of my training schedule, and feel free to jump in here. The training schedule sounds like it is horrible for you if you think about it. I'm on week 7 of my training or 8. My long run now on the weekends. I choose my long run to be Sunday. It could be Saturday if you want, but mine is on Sunday, and so I'm up to 10 miles. So this past Sunday I ran 10 miles.
Wow.
And you can't stop. I mean, that's your long run. You go and it took me 2 hours. 2.5 hours. I was going really slow. And I just, you get up and you run, and then you run, and 30 minutes go by and you're running, and then 45 minutes go by, you're running. And at 2 hours later, you're still running. And you feel like crap, excuse my French. You're not feeling good at this point.
At what point does that kick in for you?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, as the training goes on, right, obviously you get better, and that's why you're training. But it's just not part of our human design. When do you think, evolutionarily speaking, were we supposed to run for 2 hours? We're
But
not.
what about the term "runners high"?
Yeah, well,
Do you ever get to runners high,
You do.
or is it just crap to crappier?
no, no, you do. You do get runners high, and that's a really good question. I think that's why people run and they get hooked on it. And by the way, runners high can occur 5 minutes into a race or a run, or 5 hours into a run. So you really don't know.
So as someone that is not a professional runner or like a marathon runner, like I run occasionally. And the problem with running long distances for me is that I get bored.
Right.
It's not really the exhaustion. I mean, obviously the exhaustion kicks in, but the runner's high also kicks in. So you're pushing through and you're saying, this is the goal and this is what I'm doing. But, a half hour into it, I'm really bored of running.
Right.
How do you beat that? How do you fight that?
Well, personally, again, I am a runner, and I've been running for a long, long time. And as much as I say that it's not part of a human design, I get it. I go for a run, my long runs, and first of all, I have an amazing playlist. We should actually one day do Dr. Gonzalez's playlist for marathon running, because I think you it's so eclectic. It starts with Beethoven, and I end with hip hop. It's like unbelievable. It just depends on where I'm at.
Well, can I tell you something? Just to interject.
Right.
Do you know there's an app called Spotify?
Yeah.
And it's a music app. Do you know that they have it set now so you can run, and it analyzes the pace of your run and increases or decreases the beat of the music to the pace you're
That's
running.
unbelievable. I didn't know that.
Yes.
No, that's fantastic.
Just throwing that in there. It's
Yeah, no, that's
pretty
great.
cool.
And it's funny because if you actually look at runners and you look at their playlists and how they do things and what they play, it does kind of it's very personal. But at the same time, at the end when you're getting really tired,
Yeah.
is when you need that
You need that
motivating.
push.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is, as I run, and as I've evolved as a runner, I use my runs, especially my long runs, to think about everything that's happening, and it's such a release, it's such an unwind, it's such a focus, it's such a mental clarity thing that it's really hard. I mean, I'll give you a really good example. On mile 8 on Sunday is when I hit, and I'm up until mile 8 from maybe 0 to 3 miles I was fine. 3 miles to 8 were really tough because I'm like, why am I doing this again? I mean, it's hot outside. It's disgusting.
It's hot. You're thinking of, well, what am I going to do once I'm done with this? I got the rest of the day
Yeah,
happening.
and now you're not feeling
Yeah.
good. I mean, you're just not
Yeah.
feeling good, and it's
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, mentally and physically, your legs are getting tired. It's really hot out there. Most of my friends are out having a good time at the
Sounds
beach.
like a great exercise program.
So, but what's funny is that as you go forward, that's mile 8 is when it happened for me, Chauncey. It was like one of those where, okay, there it is. I'm focused now, and then all of a sudden you're clear. You're clear. Your thoughts are clear. You have perspective of maybe some problems in life. Where are new, how to negotiate an issue. I mean, it just becomes very clear.
Are you sure you're not having a near-death experience?
I've heard it's the same. Yeah.
It's actually the same.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chauncey.
but I understand what
That's
you
what it
mean.
is.
I don't run, but I work out, I lift weights, and there are days that I schedule. Okay, today it's going to be a 35-minute workout, and it's just pushing through. In the first 20 minutes, you're fine. Everything is great. You're okay with it. In the last 20 minutes, you're thinking of all the other things that you could be doing at this very moment.
Right.
You think about, I got to pay this bill. I got to pay bills after I'm done with this. I have a meeting coming up at noon. I have to do a show in my case. So all these thoughts start happening, and that's when it gets tougher to push right through.
Right.
All right, but that leads us to a great point. And this is a question I have for you, Dr. Gonzalez.
I love the fact that you're there and you're asking questions. So this is
Yes,
fantastic.
well, here it comes. All right, so you're talking about marathon training. Andrew's talking about lifting weights for almost an hour.
For vanity.
For vanity. Well, here's my
You're looking
question.
good, by the way.
Thank you.
Here's my
It's a life
question.
mod.
Do we push way much harder than we need to for physical fitness? Could we do a 10-minute, 50-minute workout, a 2-mile fast walk, or 10 minutes with weights, and still have basically great benefit from it without going to the extreme that you guys are going to?
Right. The American College of Sports Medicine is very clear on its guidelines for exercise and exercise physiology and the benefits of actual exercise. And the guidelines are very clear. 20 to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. So do you have to do high intensity training? If you're really wanting to cut, like Andrew's doing, if you really are, if you have an event that's coming up, like I have with the marathon, you want to include high HIIT, high interval intensity training. All right, that basically shoots up your heart rate immediately for a very short period of time, but it does it really good, really high, really good, and you get very intense. That's high intensity training. The studies are that you don't need to do that to be able to live a long life. And for the benefits of anti-cancer, cardiovascular disease, anti-stroke, the benefits can come with just 10, 15 minutes a day and not have to be that intense.
I think with running, for example, as human beings, there's only a certain length that we could physically run in a certain time period.
Right.
I mean,
That's a
physically,
human design.
That's human design, right?
Right.
Like we can't run a 1 minute mile. It's impossible.
Right.
So you're going to put in time. But when it comes to weight training, I have plenty of friends that are in the bodybuilding business, which if you want to talk about human design, you want to talk about the most unhealthy people.
Right.
You meet these guys right before a competition, and you see how dehydrated they are, how just all their levels are all over the place.
And they
because they've been
purposely do that.
starving. They purposely do it because they suck themselves in.
Right.
Any kind of fighter, professional MMA fighter or boxer, right before their fight, they have cut so much weight that they are totally unhealthy. That's why the Vegas Athletic Commission now says that they cannot use saline for rehydration because they're
Right.
pretty much killing themselves prior to it. But one of my closest friends, he's a pro wrestler, and he lives by the fact that you do not need to work out more than 25 minutes a day.
Yep.
If you're working out.
It's beating a dead horse, but we say it at every Life Mod broadcast. Life Mod, life modification. And it's so true. I'm telling you, with everything, working out, eating, man, what you do, modification. You don't have to train 3 hours a day every day. You don't have to run 10 miles, 15 miles to live a long, great, physically fit life. And it seems like that's where people get carried away. And I think, again, another great question, there's that addiction factor where you begin to build your endurance as a runner. You begin to love how your body's looking as a weightlifter. And so if you have an addictive personality, how do you control it?
Yeah.
How do you keep from going too far?
Well, and it's funny because that's one of the issues that we have. We have a few members who are so addicted to exercising that they've become now unhealthy, and that's
body
the,
dysmorphia disorder.
Absolutely.
I mean, BDD kicks in.
That's
and
exactly
it's a
right.
real thing.
And you also, for female, I mean, the female athlete triad, syndrome, which is and it's funny because the actual mnemonic or the phrase is the fat triad. Or the fat syndrome, but they're not fat at all. It stands for female athlete triad. They're so thin. They run so much that they have no body fat anymore, and now they're not producing any hormone levels, and so they have no estrogen. So they stop having their menstruation. Their hair starts to fall off, and they cannot stop running. They have to continue to run. So you're absolutely right. It's life modification. Newsflash yesterday for those of you who follow us on Twitter. We put this newsflash. It was basically this just in. It came from the Family Practice News, and once a week they do 4 snippets of amazing, crucial information that is all scientific based and is based on like actual science. One of them was the way to change your life is, and this specifically losing weight, had to do with 4 things. It was the programs that work are the multifactorial programs, not the ones where you go to the doctor and they give you a diet pill,
or you go on a cabbage soup diet,
or you go on a cabbage, or you restrict yourself.
Yeah.
None of those work. So what it was, and what the studies have shown, if you go somewhere, LifeMod, and you say I want to lose weight, we give you all the information from different avenues. We don't say you need to go on a diet. We just look at what you're eating now and try to change a very small percentage of that, and so that's the lifestyle modification that you.
Well, I know in the next episode we're going to talk about my results with my
your
life
results
test,
came up,
but I've been doing this for about a year now.
Yep.
And to be able to maintain the same weight and drop in body fat for a year, that's not a diet. That's not a crash diet. That's not a shotgun workout, a 3-month workout where you just get jacked up and then you lose it.
Well, it's selling your soul to the devil.
It kind of is, right? Well, you know what it is? It's modifying. It's more psychological than anything else. We talk about the physical aspects of life mind, and we talk about getting in shape and losing the weight, but we have to look at the psychological aspect of it and what LifeMod is able to provide, and other things like LifeMod as well. Not just LifeMod, but if you are able to change your entire thought process when it comes to living well, you're going to be healthy for the rest of your life. I believe in the 3s. It takes 3 days to start something. It takes 3 weeks to commit. It takes 3 months to be committed. And the same thing goes for addiction as well.
Yep.
Third time, and then you get used to it. The 3rd week, you're now becoming an addict. 3 months in, you're an addict. I had a friend. He really believed by this and lived his life by this by the power of 3s. I don't know if LifeMod is behind something like that, but I believe in that it takes a certain amount of time to kind of commit to something, and once you commit, it becomes easier and easier once you're in.
Well, to your point, I mean, you guys are very, very young people, so you may not recall this. But in the old
Does
days,
he know how young we are?
in the old days, there was somebody named John F. Kennedy, who was the president of the United States.
Tell me more about John F. Kennedy.
He came out.
Really?
He came out with a fitness thought, which was actually, it's going to sound crazy, but it was very innovative at the time, and it was very simple. What President Kennedy said to America was, walk a mile a day.
Mm-hmm.
Commit to walking a mile a day. And today it almost sounds comical when you think of all the CrossFit training and then the things that we do.
But
Right. Right.
In the mid '60s, that's all he was asking.
Right.
America, walk a mile.
But
Right.
think about how little
Right.
a mile is. I mean, a mile, people are like, oh my God, a mile. But a mile is nothing. A mile is a couple city blocks.
Right.
But think about it. What I think what he was really saying, though, it wasn't, well, walk a mile a day. He was saying, get off the couch and move your
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Didn't he have that presidential fitness program
Yes,
for like the high
absolutely.
school,
Yeah,
right?
he did.
High school system
Yeah.
Where you started, they gave high school kids that fitness test, where how far you could broad jump, how many sit-ups could you do. That all started with President Kennedy.
Right. And you know, it's getting people motivated. I mean, never mind, you know, the CrossFit, the people who are doing CrossFit and like Andrew, who's trying to get, you know, lifting and getting cut, and I'm training for a marathon. These are like we're the outliers, you know, we're not in the mid. For me, the way that you improve any society's health is that you get them to move. And the problem is, in this country, no one moves anymore. Think about that.
We don't need to.
Kids don't move. They
No,
don't move.
It's a very sedentary culture we
It's
live
a
in.
very sedentary.
Yeah.
So to your point, ex-president Kennedy, if we all just walked a mile a day, we would be a much healthier society,
But
for
probably,
sure.
As much as that sounds crazy, it's probably a lot more than most people do. Hey, I lived in the suburbs, right, in Glen Rock, New Jersey, for 17 years. You don't realize it. I'd get up out of bed, and I'd walk out my front door. My car is about 8 steps
Sure.
from my front door.
Right in front.
Walking 8 steps, get in my car. What do? I sit down. I drive to the office. My front door of my office is about 15 steps. That's it. I think one of the beauties, one of the things that changed my life, actually, besides meeting you, of course, Dr. Gonzalez,
Sure.
is moving to an urban community, Jersey City, where the norm is walking.
Right.
You walk everywhere. I have one of the, I think everybody has on their phone now, those Pace apps. Tells you how many steps and how many calories you burned.
Yep.
I'm fascinated with that. At the end of the day, you don't realize when you live in an urban community how many steps you take a day, and they all count. Everything counts. Of course, you know, you're not training for a marathon, and I believe it's better to get your heart rate up.
Oh,
of course.
absolutely. Move.
But
Just moving.
But just moving. If you just live your life here in Jersey City, go about your day, I average about 7,000 to 10,000 steps, which is considered an active lifestyle
Yep.
on the Pacer app.
Right.
That's just living. That's not even exercise.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
I was trying to
That's
pull
right.
up my phone right now to show how many steps I've walked today because coming here, I don't drive in. I take public transportation. I come from Queens, New York.
You're walking up and down the platform
I'm
steps.
walking up
Yeah.
and down,
Up and
and
down.
my phone was in sync to show it, so it was a really bad demo. But I'll probably walk about 4.5 miles today.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
That's
that's-
amazing.
The fact that you can actually figure that out now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
really, really
I think
great.
it's awesome. And when I think about it, all those years I lived in the suburbs where you think you walk more, I was probably walking about 50 steps a day.
Right, right.
I mean, you
And I went
laugh,
to the
but
bathroom.
50 steps a day. By the time I got out of bed and went back to bed.
I mean,
Right,
but
right.
even forget about calorie cutting, right? Like let's forget about the diet aspect of it. There are a lot of people that don't really have an eating issue where they're overeating, but they're not really walking. They're not really moving. I
No,
was
you
one of
gotta
those
move.
people. I was having about 2,800 calories a day, which is
Right.
pretty normal in this day and age.
Working from home.
Well, I wasn't walking. I would work from home. I wouldn't leave the house. So I was sitting in a chair all day and eating. I wasn't lifting weights. I wasn't going to the gym. I
that's
wasn't
the
doing any
majority
of it.
of the American-
And that's the majority of American. All I do now, my cardio workout is me walking up and down, the block. If I'm going to a restaurant, I'll walk to the restaurant. If I'm
Right.
going out to the bar, I'll go to the bar. I haven't cut anything out of my life. Obviously, I'm not doing anything excessively. Maybe I drink a little too much, but I mean, that's some people. But I'm whatever I'm doing, there is activity involved. I'm walking to do
Right.
these
That's
things.
it.
Right.
Walk.
Right. Just movement. That's it.
Movement.
That's the most important
I
thing.
moved my refrigerator across the other side of the kitchen to throw in those extra 3 steps.
That's right.
Times 7 days a week.
Absolutely.
Times 4.
That adds
Times
up.
12. You don't
Right.
think that adds up?
Oh, absolutely. And that, going back to the whole human design life mod, it's that human design movements and human design nutrition. So you've got to attack it from all aspects. And this is why this program works, because when we have a new member coming through, we just don't say, you've got to exercise more. Well, come on. Everyone knows that.
Right.
You know, if you exercise more, you're going to be healthier. But that's not the answer. It's let's look at what you eat. Let's look at how much you move. Let's look at your posture. How do you walk? What's your movement like? What are your nutritional status like? What is your nutritional status like? And supplementation.
Are you a competitive walker? When I'm on the streets of Jersey City, I literally look at everybody
And how they're
as
walking.
a competition.
Yeah.
I can't stand when somebody walks past me on the street. I will match you step for step.
My God,
It's a race for me.
Look at him.
Yeah, that's great
We're
though.
gonna hear him on the news. You're gonna hit.
I don't like
over
being
the
passed.
old
Blows your
lady.
mind.
Like being passed.
I take it very personal when someone walks by me on the street.
I like that. I think that's good. It's
Yeah.
actually good for you.
Yeah, I make it a game. I
That's
make
a great
walking around a
mentality.
game.
It's
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
mentality. Awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Well, this was fun.
It was.
Did you like this? This is much different than what we normally do.
Oh no, this is great having Chauncey. Because it's.
And by the
funny
way, I'm
'cause-
off camera,
Yeah,
which I don't know if I take that as a. I'm gonna go home and kind of cry in my pillow because you know what it's like when they say, "Okay, you stand on this side of the
I would
camera."
have gone to that side.
You know what they call that? They say you have a face for radio.
You have a beautiful face for radio, Chaunce.
No, I actually like it because we look at you. I'm
Yeah.
looking at you, and the camera's right
And
in
you
front
feel
of
better
me.
about
so
yourself.
I feel. Do I? Do we?
When you look at me,
I kind of do.
Well, okay, me too. All right, that's awesome. I don't know where this is going, Chauncey.
well, I guess that's the show.
Yep. I think
This
is
was a
it.
ball. Had a lot of fun. I'm gonna go out in the blazing humid heat, and I'm gonna walk up and down Newark Avenue
Competitively.
Competitively, no
Right.
one's gonna pass me.
Right. That's right. Good.
The
Have
champion
fun.
of Newark Avenue.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
And
You're
for
welcome.
those of you, please, look us up, www.lifemod.com. We are taking questions, actually, so that when we do our next podcast, we read them online.
We can I'll read questions to you
and then,
from listeners.
because we really want to tailor this to how, to what people are actually asking. So this is a really good thing. Thank you so much for coming. I know we're going to
Anytime.
do another podcast and talk to you
will.
about your results.
My results.
It was
Very
nice,
excited for
nice
that.
seeing you. Thank you for coming.
Excellent.
That's like an hour show just on Andrew's results.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.